We are about to talk about something very interesting, and that is the results of our first annual CSPC Science Priorities Survey. So if we can get our PowerPoint up. So this year we decided to, in the interest of developing evidence-based policy, we decided to collect some data on what you think are the, and specifically you, the attendees of the CSPC, what you think are the key priorities that we should be focusing on in terms of science priority going forward. So we solicited input from all of our attendees. We got an excellent response, and now we're going to take a quick 5-10 minutes to present some of those results. So we asked, all right, curse of the tall. So we asked, which of the following 12 options do you believe should be the top 5 science policy priorities of Canada's new federal government? And you can read the potential responses that we provided up there. We'll be going through them one by one later on, so I won't belabor them right now. But here they are in no particular order: first page and second page. So we solicited input from about 500 attendees, and we got 169 responses. So we're very excited about that response. And we also solicited ideas for new priorities that we could potentially add to the lineup in future conferences and in our analysis this time around. So we got 169 responses. We got a very impressive outpouring of ideas. And before we get into any of the results, we really want to say thank you so much to everyone who participated. We think this is going to be a great tool going forward to help us speak as one voice and provide science advice to the government in terms of what we think our priorities should be. So now getting to the results, here's a graph of all of the responses so you can see the general distribution. As you can see, there was a large difference between some of our more popular responses and some of the less popular, ranging from under 25 to 112. So what we've done now is we've divided the responses into 3 categories. So 4 of our priorities were the clear favorites. And working up from number 4, the 4th most popular response was establishing the position of a science advisor to the Prime Minister of Canada with 83 votes. 3rd was increasing Canada's total R&D spending investment to the OECD average level. The 2nd was restoring funding for basic science with 107 votes. And the most popular response, by a fair margin, was establishing mechanisms to use scientific knowledge and evidence in policymaking. So here's a quick visual of the top 4 favorites. And remember where that distribution goes to, because it'll carry forward into future slides. So we had 4 priorities, 4 out of 12, that received moderate levels of support, and we're fairly clumped up around the same level. Making private sector innovation a national priority received 57 votes. Creating a new agency analogous to the U.S. Advanced Research Projects Agency to fund the development of game-changing technologies and open new markets to Canadian innovations received 58. Building capacities in science policy for the next generation, including the establishment of fellowships in science, technology, innovation policy, received 58. And with 66 votes, which places it a little bit closer to the top 4, is incorporating sustainability and environmental protection as a guiding principle in all government development policies. So here are our mid-range priorities. As you can see, they clumped up fairly closely. And 4 priorities that received considerably less support than any of the other 12. In the 9th spot was establishing a foresight office to explore emerging trends and plausible futures in science, technology, and innovation. Number 10 was establishing a center of excellence in science and innovation policy. Number 11, establishing a science watchdog for Parliament. And last, by a considerable margin, was transforming the Canadian Senate into a non-political assembly of scientists, scholars, and experts. So I guess even science policy people are not keen on Senate reform. Maybe we'd make better politicians than we give ourselves credit for. So here, a quick visual of the bottom 4 priorities. So looking at trends and analysis, we found that, for the most part, improvements to current systems and current processes was more popular than the establishment of new offices, with the clear exception of the establishment of an office or of a chief science advisor in Canada. More than half of all respondents agree on the importance of the top 4 priorities. So again, like this is a collection of some of the top minds in Canadian science policy, and I think we can very, very clearly say that the 4 responses that received such a clear outpouring of support should be clear priorities. And the most popular selection, which is establishing mechanisms to use scientific knowledge and evidence in policymaking, received support from 2/3 of all of the 2015 CSPC attendees who responded. So that's a very clear message, we feel. So as next steps, this was our first annual survey of science priorities in Canada. And we feel that this survey very clearly represents the views of Canada's top minds in science policy. We hope that policymakers can use it as a helpful tool to clarify the future of science policy in Canada, considering that it is such a rare opportunity to solicit input from such a diverse and impressive group of people. We'll be emailing these results to you after the conference, so you can refer to them personally. And lastly, we hope to make this survey a regular feature of Canadian science policy conferences.